And we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Parent of Queer Kids show. Me llamo Doctora Lulu. How are y'all doing today? I have a beautiful guest. Oh my God. Kara, your background is just amazing. I
Oh,
love it.
thank you.
Love, love,
Thank you.
love
Thank
it.
you.
So, Kara is joining us from
Atlanta, Georgia.
Atlanta, Georgia. Oh my goodness. I'm going to be in Atlanta next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, Kara is joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. Welcome, 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 everybody. My name is Dr. Lulu, and we're going to be talking about allyship for your kids, allyship for parents of queer kids, because that's what the show is called, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So, Kara, thank you so much for coming on the show. And before I even go any further, why did you decide to come on a show talking about something that is pretty much controversial in today's America? What's up with that,
Uh,
Kara?
yeah, what is not controversial at all is how much I love my kid and how much I've learned from them. And this world is a better place because they exist in it. And so it's a pretty easy topic to talk about for me because
Yes.
it's the thing that brings every parent together. Like, we love our kids and want them to have a safe, secure future. And there's nothing more than I want for my trans kid to grow old. So that's why I'm here.
Kara, sold to the lady with the beautiful blue dress. Actually, we both have blue on today, turquoise on today. So, we have a brand new podcast that's coming up on LinkedIn. Are you on LinkedIn?
I am. Yep.
Very good. So I'm going to put your name on the list. It's called Moms for Trans Kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's me. It was my idea, but it was me. It is me, Dee Dee, who's Black, African American, Jenny, who's white, and then Amber, who's white. I wanted it to be kind of balanced,
Mm-hmm.
so we could just talk about what you just said, which is the most beautiful thing to say. We all love our kids, period. And
Yeah,
Jenny actually said, and Jenny said, I want my boss to know that I love my child just as much as they love their kid. That's it.
that's right.
That's
That's
it.
right.
And so, and that's all she wrote. So thank you so much for coming to do this with me today. So we're going to start from the very beginning. And as you all know, if you watch this show, usually on YouTube, I get a lot of interaction. As you all know, we don't talk about, we don't necessarily talk on this show about the child and their journey, but there's no way a parent can be talking about parenting and not include the child.
That's
So
right.
usually we want to talk about the parent's journey, but you know what? Take it wherever you want to take it. So I guess when was the first time that you realized that your child was, for lack of a better word, I know special means something else, but for me, special means the word special. I don't mean anything negative. So
Yeah.
when was the first time you found out that your child is in the beautiful rainbow community?
Yeah. Um, so I have two children, and the one that we're talking about today is the older one. They have always been this like brilliant, creative human. Their sex assigned at birth is female, and so they would just light up around women. That's the first thing I noticed, probably in their elementary school age. Um, and so by the time they got to middle school, my kid is not known for being subtle. And I will say, like, I've talked very publicly about their journey and my journey as a parent. And it's impossible, like you said, to describe this child without centering them at the center of the conversation. Their voice is the one that matters. And also because
Yes.
they're still a minor, um, I'm fiercely protective of their safety and security. And so everything that I share with you today, this kid has shared publicly. So I'm just elevating their story. So, in any case, this kid who is never known for being subtle painted this like massive rainbow on the front of our house and wrote, "By the way, BI." And I said, "Babe, are you like trying to tell us something?" And they're like, "Yeah, mom, I'm bi." And I was like, "That's
I
great. To be
love it.
honest, I thought you were a lesbian, but that's great. I'm glad." And
How old,
so
how old were they then?
that was in sixth grade. So they would have been,
12,
what is that? Yeah, 11, 12.
11 or 12. Wow. How bold. How amazingly bold. Oh my God. I wish I had been that bold. I was shaking like a leaf when I told my dad that I like girls and boys. I was that,
Yes.
and I was 16. But you know
Yes.
what? I swear to God. Why is it even a conversation?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, so they, I realized in that moment for me as a parent that without their consent, I had like developed this fantasy in my brain about what their future would look like. Like, of course, we want them to be safe and secure and have a job. But I realized the fantasy I had for them was that they would be married to a man with two children and a white picket fence. So I was like,
No, wait, wait,
okay,
wait, wait. You have been listening to my TED talk. That's exactly what I said. I said my dad had this vision of me to grow
yeah,
up, find a good man, get married, have three children, two girls and a boy, and two pets. I don't know. I think I said German shepherds because we and a white picket fence. I mean, that's like the dream. Oh my God.
that's right. That's right. And I think what that symbolized was like security on some level, but probably heavily biased by my own experience, of course. And so,
Yes.
anyway, they started dating, casually dating in middle school, as middle schoolers do. And so, um, in that fantasy, I realized that it was a man and a woman. So I'd kind of like photoshopped out the man and like put in a woman there. So I'm like, okay, there's like two women. I can get on board with this. And then the first person that they dated in middle school was black, and so that for me helped recognize like, oh, everyone in that fantasy that I had looked like me. Everyone was white, and so like, great, now I get to excavate my own internalized racism as part of this like journey. So I was like, okay, let's like Photoshop out the white woman and like put in the black woman there and their gorgeous children. And then the two people that they dated after that were trans, and I was like, this fantasy that I'm clinging on to is a me issue. Like, this is not about my kid. This is about
Throw it
me
out,
trying to.
throw it out, throw it out. I love it. I love your child, like ever changing, ever innovating. Just when
Yeah,
you think you got it, boom, here's a new one. Thank
that's
you
right.
so much, Elsie Deshay, for that beautiful comment. Says, this is lovely. Thank you. You're very welcome. You're
Yeah,
most welcome. This is why we do the show. We have to normalize these conversations.
yeah,
We have to normalize the conversations.
yeah,
It's not a big deal. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Kara. You already kind of just started right off the bat with like a lot of information. And this is why I want parents to come and talk about this. I will never stop doing this show as long as there's a parent out there who needs to talk about this. The fact that I was totally all the way to the left, just like you. I was like, oh, and first of all, my dad, and then me.
yeah,
You would think I
yeah,
would have learned a thing or two from my father. No.
yeah.
So keep going. Thank you so much for sharing. It's just so amazing. Keep going.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm a physician, and my clinical practice, I take care of adults, and I take care of a lot of folks in the LGBTQ community. And there's a ton of mental health needs, and I've heard the stories for years and years about finding places that are safe for them. And what was clear to me as a parent was that nearly half of trans teenagers have suicidality, and
Mm.
for me, it was not a choice. I mean, I knew I loved my kid, but there was only one path forward, which is I love and protect you and will do anything to keep you safe. And so all of this like emotion that you're seeing bubble up for me now is really that. Like, I didn't know what the future held for this kid, but what I knew is that like I had to do my own work. I had to like really dig up any kind of LGBTQ bias that I didn't even think was there. I had to deal with my own internalized racism that I didn't know was there in a very new and kind of urgent way as a means of protecting this kid. And the truth is like my kid is fine. Like, they know exactly who they are. They always have. And they're trying to figure it out just like any teenager's trying to figure out anything. So they
Yes.
went from declaring that they were bi to declaring that they were gay to then really finding their truth, which is in this gender fluid state. So they accept all pronouns. And then recently they're like, Mom, I think I'm pan. So like, this kid is going to
I
land
was
wherever
waiting
they.
for that word.
Yeah,
Once it said they dated trans, I was like, yeah, that's a pansexual. But that's so good because some people in the world think that bi is kind of sort of like basically pan anyway.
no, it's
But
not.
as a
Yeah,
bona fide bisexual, very proudly so, now I've come
yeah,
into my whole. There's so much to talk about. I wish I was writing this down so I don't forget. Because even from when you said just the fact that just the way they announced it, by the way, like so creative, right? And then your first quote unquote shock, and then, oh, there's a trans person I'm dating. And oh, wait. they're black. And then, oh, wait, and it's just so beautiful, like so much to learn. Like the only word that comes up for me is just lean in, just lean in
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just take it all in. And that's what happened with me. I had the worst case of internalized homophobia you can think of
Yeah.
because I'm Nigerian, I'm Catholic, and all of that,
Yeah.
right? Even as a queer person myself, and that's what I say all the time. And then God was like, "Oh, you think he's gay, right? I got news for you, baby."
Yeah.
Boom! And I was like, "Wait, what?" I had to wake up very quickly, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Okay, so." Then I had to learn. Oh well, there's sexuality, and then there's gender identity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, And then look at your child just giving you everything. Yesterday, I was on a podcast and I got really emotional and I started crying because the person who was interviewing me, she said her sister-in-law said, "Oh, there's no question about it. She's going to disown the child." And then someone else said, "Oh, there's no question. They're going to disown the child." And the only thing that could come up for me was, "How dare you?"
Yeah. That's right.
Because I know how hard it is as a pediatrician to have one child. And then you get one and then you want to but then I said, wait, stop. Once upon a time, you were very transphobic yourself. However, like you, I quickly said, okay, let's get that. That's old news. How do we move? What are we doing? How do we move forward? That's it.
Yeah.
And as a pediatrician, I was definitely like, how do we move forward? Like, what do we need to do next? So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing. So obviously, I don't know enough about you, but is there a spouse? How did they react? Is there a significant other on your part? Is there a partner? How did they react to all of this, if there's one?
Yes. So I'm married, and my husband is my child's father. So he he was very open and accepting, and like me, I mean, this is it, right? Like we vote liberal. We would just kind of describe ourselves as open-minded and waving the flags and all the things, but it's a next level. It's one thing to say when you have some distance from it, but it's another thing to have that lived experience. And I think this goes with all bias, whether it's gender, race, body size, whatever, to really have to like come to terms with that. So, I mean, he and I both did our own work, like
Mhm,
to just find the words, figure it out, whatever. But I think
mhm,
one of our strengths as parents was really just to allow our kid to figure out themselves and not try to manage that or control that. And
mm,
so he was fine. But the person who had the least amount of trouble, who pronouns, fine. What you want a new name? Great. Sounds awesome. Like, was this kid's little brother, my youngest child. He
mm.
was just like, fine. Like, oh, you want to go buy a new name now? Totally fine. Like pronouns,
Oh,
fine. Like, what are you using today? Like he was just, it was not an issue because he hadn't had these years of conditioning like everyone needs to fit into a box.
yes.
So, anyway, I would say our family overall has been fine, our nuclear family, but we really clamped down who this child interacted with from an extended family and social circle standpoint because we wanted to
Mm,
ensure that safety and make sure that they were okay. And, some people, most people were great. Um, some still struggle with pronouns, of course. And the ones who had any resistance, like, it was just like, "It was nice being friends with you."
mhm,
Like, we just let them go too because it wasn't a choice. Like, it wasn't a choice for my kid to be exactly who they are. It's who they are. And if I had to decide between keeping a friend or putting my kid at risk for not wanting to be on this planet, like, that's not a choice for me either. So there was a high element of protection, in that way, particularly in the early years. And now my kids, in high school, and they will tell you, like, "Mom, like, you don't have to be that buffer for me anymore. Like, I've got it. I've got great
mm,
friends. Things are fine." Um, but, it's I think particularly given the climate in America, and we live here in Georgia with tons of anti-trans
oh, Lord have
legislation,
mercy.
like,
You
my
and
kid's
me
like,
both. Because
yeah, my
I'm
kid's
in
like, "I'm
Texas.
leaving." Yeah.
Because
Oh, you're in
I'm in,
Texas. Oh, geez.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm in Texas, and I am thinking about moving. I'm
Mhm.
not thinking. I am moving,
Mhm.
but it's just interesting. It's very, very interesting. I don't know. In Texas, I used to, well, not anymore. I still will do it if I'm invited, but I used to be at the Capitol. I've been there, I don't know, half a dozen times to
Mhm.
testify. You know,
Mm.
because I'm a pediatrician. Show me where it says in my pediatric textbook that supporting and affirming your child is child abuse.
No, and
That's
I
all
mean,
I'm
this
waiting. I'm
is
just waiting for somebody to tell me that.
no, and gender affirmation is life-saving. This is absolutely a medical and mental health issue. This is absolutely in our lane. Like, who better than us to advocate for these kids? So,
Yes.
like, politics have gotten into our field, into medicine, and we need evidence and people who know exactly how to keep kids safe to be able to advocate like you're doing. So, thank you for advocating in
Yeah.
Texas, even though sometimes that may feel um, less hopeful than you would like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm moving to California where I'm hoping, you know, and I'm believing and I know that it's a little bit more accepting, even though there's still Sacramento and some other little nooks and crannies. But as a life coach now, I now know that I get to create my reality. I get to create my future. So I get to choose if I want to
Yeah,
focus on the pockets of homophobic people or all the other thousands who are not.
yeah,
My message is not going to be for everyone. I'm not here to save the world. My name is not Jesus. But certainly, if you want to learn how to support your kid, if you like someone to listen, I'm here. But I'm
yeah,
not here to, if you're, oh my God, I'll leave you be.
yeah,
No problem at all.
yeah,
So, wow, thank you so much. And this is so good to know that even your husband, or at least your spouse, is, because my kid is teaching me the lingo. She's
yeah,
like, yeah, mom, you know, you can say husband, but you know, spouse and partner actually. I said, okay. So I'm
yeah.
learning because I don't know that the husband themselves are not gender queer. You know, you just don't know
That's right. That's right.
anything. And I'm just learning the inclusive lingo, you know, they, them all the time. MX rather miss, or, you know, Ms.
Mhm.
Just learning. And my brain is just growing because there's so much new stuff to learn.
Yeah.
So it's been a nice journey for me. Let's shift a little bit to maybe your practice. I didn't realize you're a pediatrician. Maybe I did. I forgot. Let's talk about your practice. How has Georgia and their laws affected, if at all, your pediatric practice?
Yeah. So I don't take care of kids at all. I'm an
Okay.
internist, meaning I take
Okay.
care of folks 18 and older.
Okay.
Um, so the current legislation in Georgia that was passed does not allow um, gender affirming care in the sense of hormones for
Mm,
children or people under 18, and gender affirming surgery for the trans community if they're under the age of 18. As you know, like, people are not doing um, much, if any, gender affirming surgery across the nation in people under the age of 18, although we have gender affirming surgery all the time in the cis community.
okay. Can you tell
Um,
them? Can you say that again for those at the back? Because I see them at the back. The truth is, even when there is gender affirming surgery under the age of 18, it is never a unilateral decision by the child. It is never a unilateral decision by the parent. It is never without weeks and months of therapy. I'm just going to come out and say it because I happen to be a pediatrician. And yes,
yeah,
there are pockets of people doing gender, but this is the process to gender affirmation, which I think already is full of holes because we know, you and I know, that the sooner we can take care for those who have significant gender dysphoria, the
yeah,
sooner we can help get them moving away from that, the better.
that's right.
So, yes, as far as surgery goes, very few people do. But I know that the average 18-year-old male, cisgendered, already has a change in voice, Adam's apple, all these things. So even starting to do the surgery, then it's already late.
Yeah,
It's
that's right.
already late. And the only thing we're doing is because we have the power. People voted you into power, and you're using your power to discriminate against their children. It's just so unfair. And really, truly, let me ask you, not you as Dr. Kara, but just you, whoever, how does my child's gender affirmation surgery affect you? How? Let's just say they did have surgery at the age of 13. How
Yeah.
does that affect you and your breakfast and your dinner tomorrow?
Yeah. And to be very clear, that is not happening. Like these
It's
surgical
not happening
procedures,
exactly. I know it's not
yes,
happening. But for
they're not.
those who,
Yeah,
for the crazy ones out there, it's crazy. For the few crazy ones out there who think this is happening, it's
that's
not.
right. That's right. So to answer your question, practice in Georgia is a little wild, right? Because by the time they graduate to my practice, a lot of folks are really struggling. And so my practice mainly focuses on eating disorder behavior, which
Hmm.
is an interesting part of this community, right? Because you
Yes.
are not
Oh,
allowed to augment your body or access therapy or access hormones in a way that's um, affirming, then often people end up with mental health issues by the time they are in my practice. So, eating disorder behavior as a means of modifying one's body is not uncommon. So I see that pretty frequently in this population. And certainly just the anxiety and depression and other things that come a part of that. So this impacts everyone across the age spectrum. It impacts the mental health of everyone. And so for me, it's um, the ability to just have honest, open conversations to allow people to figure out who they are and support them in that is a life-saving process. And so
life
as people
saving.
graduate to 18 and have autonomy over their bodies and are able to choose whether or not they want to have these surgeries, they need the background work from as early as they can have these conversations from a therapeutic and from a hormonal standpoint. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's a very loaded conversation here in Georgia for
Yes,
sure.
yes. It's definitely not an hour long. I wish more spaces will open up for physicians to lead these kinds of conversations.
Yeah.
I wish. I had a chance to speak at the American Academy of Pediatrics conference this year, and by some kind of magical something, it just, oh well, we maybe next year. I was like, okay. I just wish more doctors with lived experience as parents specifically. It's one thing to be a physician who is affirming. It's a whole different ballgame when you're also a parent.
Yeah.
That those two combining situations is just like, that's really the only person that can even open their mouth, even though we're not trans people ourselves as far as lived experience. We're the next best thing. At least we have a voice and we're physicians.
Yeah,
I
and
wish-
to create safety for our colleagues who are in the
Yes,
LGBTQ community so that their voices can be heard, because the threats that they receive by speaking about their lived experiences and how they're supporting the community is terrifying,
it's
right? And
beyond
so,
terrifying.
yeah,
It's beyond
yes,
terrifying. It's
yes.
beyond terrifying. Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, we'll see. I mean, but as far as just you going, just moving forward, how have you, let's go back. How were you able to create a safe space enough for your child to share with you? Because as you and I know, coming out, which I don't like to use, but sharing, inviting, those tend to be based on safety. If you're able to create safety for your child,
Yeah.
so how were you able to create a safe space for your child to begin with, and then moving forward, how are you able to maintain the safe space for your kid?
That's probably a better question for the kid because they could tell you why they felt comfortable. I think part of it is that they are neurodiverse and don't really conform to a lot of expectations. So I think that was part of it. I think we, at least on the surface or to the depth that we were able to, we talk very candidly about equality and safety and social justice issues. Like that's kind of a normal thing for us to talk about in our house. That probably sent some signals to this kid.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think, I adore my parents, but I grew up in a pretty controlling Catholic environment. And so my
Oh,
style of parenting is very much not loosey goosey, but allowing my kids to be who they are.
Mm.
And so I think that was probably the biggest um, help. But I don't know. You'd have to ask the kid why they felt like
Yeah,
doing
I
it.
mean, and this is exactly why I stressed at the beginning that not every time we have this conversation, not every question that we can answer because we're not the ones with the lived
Yeah, that's
experience.
right. That's right.
But I do like the way you. I was also raised Catholic, but I like the fact that you mentioned just the topics that you discussed in the house, the things,
Yeah,
the openness in the house.
yeah,
That is critical because I didn't do that. And I tell people a lot that even as a queer person myself, it just was not a topic that we discussed. Did we talk about, I don't know, politics and yes, but when it came to that sexuality, and so my kid got a totally opposite, which to me is why I did not find out until they were 22
mhm,
and we're 25. So it's only been 3 years since this whole thing started in my house. We started from non-binary and now trans, but obviously I am where I am now because you don't have to take 25 years before you can
yeah,
help other people. Which some people
yeah.
think, oh, you just found out. Oh, that was quick. I'm like, how long is it going to take? Your kid has known since they were 2 or 3. So how much longer is it going to take? Which sometimes people push back when I tell them that their kid has probably known since they were very before the age
Yeah,
of 7 at least. Then they push back, and then I say, wait, what age do you think the cisgendered boy knew that they were a boy?
that's right. That's right.
And then they stop. I like, yeah, just think about it. Just because the kid didn't say anything doesn't mean that they didn't feel different. And
That's
many of
right.
them will tell you that I've known since my mom put on the dress with the pom pom little things, and I just did not like it. But then they're so confused because my parents is I'm supposed to, this is what hence the mental health challenges and then of course the suicide. Wow. So as we close out, are you on social media? Where can people find you? All that good
Yeah.
stuff.
Thanks. Yeah, I am. So you can see my screen name here is Kara Pepper. So Kara Pepper MD is my handle on every social media. I've recently left Twitter, so you will
Yes.
find
Oh,
us.
thank you.
You'll find a
Mm,
skeleton account there, but I don't post anymore. So
I
Instagram and
shut mine
Threads and
down.
Facebook and
Yes.
LinkedIn. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm glad that you're on LinkedIn. We need to connect on LinkedIn because the other ladies are also on LinkedIn, and we're going to start shooting this Sunday. It's going to be Sunday evenings because we figured most parents are home, they're relaxing, they're chilling, and so we can do it. So, but yeah, I'm really so grateful to you
yeah.
for coming on the show. Is there anything like any going away words, anything that people would may want to you would want to leave the people with as far as like information? Don't forget everyone who's watching and or listening, Kara Pepper, Karapepper. So regular spelling of pepper and Kara with a K. So
Yeah,
what would you an MD by the way,
yeah,
because we own that, okay? We
yeah.
own our MD-ness. So what going away words will you say for parents and then of course for physicians who may or may not be caught in the crossfires of wanting to do the right thing per their oath and then having to face the government or whoever. Ugh.
Okay, well, I'll try to make this as brief as possible. The short
You
answer
don't have
is
to. You don't have to. You've got plenty. The time
the
is
the
yours.
short answer is that the only way forward is love. And as a parent, one day you're going to be dead and your kid's going to remember how you made them feel, and that's the part that you have control over, is how you show up and what you want to believe about your kid. And so you have
Yeah,
power over that.
that is just too powerful. I'm going to put that part, how you made them feel, because that's what Maya Angelou said. They might forget
That's
what
right.
they said, they might and all that. Yes. So one day you're going to die. Yes, I love it. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then the second part for parents would be to just, whatever comes up for you is totally normal. It's just
Normal.
information,
Yes.
and you get to process that outside of your relationship with your kid. It's not your kid's job to like make you feel better about what's coming up for you. That's your job. You get to do that in therapy or in a support group, etc. Your job is to love your kid and do your work outside of that relationship. And then I think in terms of doctors, like, we have megaphones with that MD behind our name, and
I
there's never
know.
been a more important time for us to be advocates on a consistent basis with our congressional, both on a state and federal level. So what kind of systems can you put in place to like send the email every week, to make the phone call every week? Like how can we show up like you're doing in person or virtually, so that we can um, be advocates for our patients and our families?
Yes. So for doctors, consistency in advocacy. I like that. I
Yeah.
like that. I think I can't come back with anything. That's just fantastically put. And we should not be afraid. I mean, gone are the days when now I mean, I don't know, if your practice is homophobic, you can always leave, start your own thing. We have a lot of people who have gone before us and stood for something, even if they had to stand alone, took a knee for something, even if they had to kneel alone. We have to be okay with just doing it afraid. I mean, you're only as brave as your worst fears. So I just tell fear to just, sit at the back or something, but we're going where we're going. Self-doubt, self-disbelief, all of those things. Get in the car, stay in the trunk if you must, but I'm going, and I think more and more physicians, doctors have always kind of been rebellious anyway, because there's just something about us when we're getting all kinds of things coming down. So no, the patient needs this.
Yeah.
So you've been advocating for your patients already from the get-go.
That's right.
It just hurts me when I see, like, there was a physician who is a member of the deciding body on in Texas. He's an anesthesiologist, and I wanted to just punch him. Oh my God, I wanted to punch him so hard because he was a physician. He was like something about mutilation.
No.
The doctor was saying that.
No. Yeah.
So
That's just not true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's of course not true. But he knew the words to use to paint the pain. Mutilation. I was done when he used that word.
No. Yeah. That's not what's happening.
Wow, Dr. Kara, thank you so much for coming. Y'all go check out Dr. Kara, MD. We're going to be definitely inviting you back to the podcast. And I'm just so excited that you came. You have a lot of knowledge. Bless you. I'll be in Atlanta. I'll give you a buzz. If you want to meet up, I'll give you a hug, and then we'll just keep it moving.
That
Maybe we'll
sounds
take
beautiful.
a picture or two. Why not? I really appreciate you coming this morning.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And keep up the good work. Keep doing
Yeah.
what you're doing. And watch your back, because, there are cowboys everywhere, not only in Texas.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for all you do to spread this information so parents can just normalize their experience, right? So
yes, ma'am. And I'll share the link with you so you can share it on your social media if you'd like, and also on Facebook, wherever you like. And I think, did we meet on the entrepreneurship page? Was that where we met?
I think so. Yeah. Female physician entrepreneurs. I think that was where we connected.
Then it's a good place to share this, because that's both of us are members. I'll share with Sharon and then see what she does. But thank you so much for coming. It was so good.
Awesome.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
You do. Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes, ma'am. Bye. And broadcast.